On behalf of Pur-Logic Solutions, I would like to welcome everyone who was able to join us for today's webinar showcasing TaiRox as part of our ongoing Get More from Your Sage 300 software series. A big welcome to Nancy from TaiRox. And just a quick note that we are recording today's webinar, and we will send the recording in a follow-up email after the event, and we will also be posting it on our YouTube channel and on our website. Following the webinar, we will make time for some Q&A, so feel free to enter any questions in the Q&A chat box, and we will get to them at the end. I will send it over now to Nancy.
Great, thanks very much, and hello everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We wanted to highlight the TaiRox productivity tools specifically. TaiRox does have some other solutions, but we're going to just focus on the productivity tools today. What's unique about TaiRox is the developer or the principal of TaiRox was the original developer of ACPAC for DOS that we now know as Sage 300. So once he sold off the package to a company called Computer Associates and then became Sage, he knew where all the nuances were within the core product. So he started to create tools to help to increase efficiencies and increase productivity. So you'll see here that it does install inside Sage 300 as a module. So you would just activate it as you do any of the Sage modules through the administrative services. And in most cases, we're just adding enhancements to Sage screens. The one exception would be the order entry screen, which would actually replace the standard order entry, and you'll see why, because we're adding so many additional features to that screen. So we do have tools for each of the core Sage 300 modules, and you'll see those different folders on this main screen, and then you can see each of the toolkits falling below. The way productivity tools are sold, you can purchase the entire productivity toolkit and get all of the tools for all of the modules, or you can buy, if there's just specific tools you're looking for, you can purchase an individual module on its own. But once you get beyond one module, the pricing would, you would just buy the entire productivity toolkit, and then you can specify which tools you want to actually view on a desktop. So you can see it's just activated with a tick box. You can choose the module toolkit and then activate the tools that you're using if you're not using all of them. The other thing that you can do is you can copy any of the tools into the respective modules. So, if someone's just using accounts payable, for example, you could copy those tools into an accounts payable folder, and you don't have to grant any additional access within Sage 300. I'm going to start with explaining our extended tools and what we've done for those tools. The extended tools give you the ability to maintain data in one source company and copy across to other companies. So we created a unique toolkit for multi-company. So those of you that are using multiple companies in Sage 300 that may have master files that are the same across companies, so things like your GL chart of accounts or your customers or your vendors, you can use these extended tools to only have to make that change once in a source company, and then you can copy across to other companies. So for example, with your chart of accounts, when you open up the screen, you'll notice that it's the screen that you're familiar with. So we haven't changed anything about the underlying screen, but we've added a button at the bottom that gives you the ability to copy. So in the case of the GL chart of accounts, you may want to copy and substitute a segment. So, I'm copying from company 1 into company 2. So when that copy happens, I want to change the company segment. So you can do segment substitutions. But what this also does using the segment substitutions is allow you to use the tool within one company where, oftentimes when you set up a new account in your chart of accounts, you're going to have multiple segment combinations. So you could set the account up once and then just use this copy feature to change your segment codes. So that's one example of how these extended tools work. So we have that capability for the GL chart of accounts, as I've shown, but also for your segment codes and account groups. And then we've got that ability for your customers and your vendors and a few of the other features. So if you just want to be able to copy, then you could buy this multi-company toolkit for all of the extended tools. But you notice here that they go across all of the modules of Sage 300. So each of those extended tools will also be within the respective module toolkit. So for example, in accounts payable, you'll find your extended vendors and extended remit to locations. The other thing that we've added to a lot of the tools are what we call smart finders. So we haven't changed much about the underlying screen itself, but we've added smart finders to it. So you'll see on some of the screens where it's a dynamic button over the field label. And when you click on that, it opens up like a Google type search capability. Sorry, I'm just going to try and move this Zoom panel. And what this does is it gives you more of a Google search capability. So, you know, if you're used to the finders in Sage 300, you would know that you have to choose a field that you want to search against. With these smart finders throughout the productivity tools, it gives you the ability to just put in characters and click the find button, and it's going to search against multiple fields. So in this case, it'll search around my vendor name, it'll search around addresses, it'll search around remit to locations and so on. So it's going to return more results for you. So a lot of the screens, we've done that enhancement where we've added that smart finder capability against multiple fields on the screen. We've also got a mail merge capability. So if you want to be able to do mailings and marry your information from Sage 300 with Microsoft Word, you can do that as well. So we've got that capability in accounts payable for sending out mailings to vendors. We've got it in accounts receivable for sending out to your clients. And we've also got it around payroll if you want to do a mailing around for your employees. Now, when we look at the accounts receivable toolkit, again, you'll see the extended tools. We do have an apply document tool, and this tool gives you the ability to, sorry, the Zoom panel is kind of in my way here. This screen gives you the ability to view open payments. So at the top, we're seeing open payments, and at the bottom, we're seeing open documents. And you can see here that I have it for multiple customers. I could select by customer, and then I'm going to filter and only see open payments and open documents for a specific customer or national account, for example. But effectively, what this tool does is give you the ability to view all of those entries. And then in this apply column, I can specify to apply the open payments to open documents. So I can just go through here on one screen. And then when I hit the process button, it's going to generate a receipt batch for me. So again, you're not having to go in and out of multiple screens to do that. You can do it all within one screen. Now, for any of you that are doing billing to your clients and perhaps billing the same thing to multiple clients, and I always use college tuition as an example. You know, at the beginning of the year, you're going to bill 1,000 students for the same tuition fee. What this mass billing tool allows you to do is set out the invoice details. So I could choose a specific item and a price, and then I can select my customers by a range of customer number or national account or group, etc., and load that list into this screen. The include column will allow me to specify which customers I want to bill. And then when I hit the process button, it's going to generate an invoice for every customer that I have in the list. So you could potentially generate hundreds of invoices with just the click of a button using the mass billing tool. So for the general ledger, we've mentioned the extended tools. So I mentioned the GL ones. We've also got for your fiscal calendar, so creating opening and closing periods in your fiscal calendar, as well as creating a new year. But some additional tools we have in the general ledger toolkit would be the accounting status tool. So with this tool, we're giving you a view across Sage 300 of all of your open batches. So a really handy tool for when you're doing your month-end close. You can see exactly which modules have open batches. And in fact, you can drill into the details of that open batch to determine if it's something that should be taken care of and then closed prior to you doing your month-end close. The other tool we have here is a user management tool. Now, this user management tool, we have this one in the productivity tools that is good to use across one company. But if you're using multiple companies of Sage 300, we do have a full-blown tool that's run from your start menu that has similar and some additional features to allow you to maintain your users in Sage 300. So there's like two sides to this tool. There's like a reporting tool, and then there's also a user management tool. So, if you've ever tried to determine access that a user has in Sage 300, you'll find that that's not an easy task. So what we've done with this tool is given you the ability to choose either all users or a range or a specific user. I'll just choose a specific user. You can choose all modules or a range or a specific module, and then whether or not you want to include disabled users. And you can specify if there's a permission in a module that nobody has access to, then you can exclude that from my list. But when I load this into this screen, it's going to show me the application, which is the module, the permissions in that module, and then for my controller, whether or not they have access to any of those permissions. And it looks like my controller does not have. But if I was running it against multiple users, I would see those users listed across the top. So it's going to create columns for you, and then there'll be a marking under the user to specify any of the permissions they have access to. You can also save this and save that out to Excel so that you have a report of the access the users have within Sage 300. On the user management side, this is giving you the ability to copy. So, if you're onboarding a new employee, then you can say, Jane has all of this access in Sage 300. I've just hired Amy, and Amy's going to be doing the exact same job as Jane. So I want to just copy from Jane to Amy. And you can choose the security permissions as we were just looking at for the reporting, but you can also copy things like the user profiles, the customization directories, printer settings, and so on. So you can basically copy the entire user, and with the click of a button, set that new user up with all of the same permissions. So this is a tool that comes within the GL productivity tools for one company. If you wanted to run that tool across multiple companies, then you can buy this SOX user management tool separately. And this tool gives you the ability to not only copy across multiple companies, but run that report across companies. So for example, you can say, well, Nancy has access in company 1. I want her to have the same access in company 2 and 3. So you can copy across companies, and you can report, what access does Nancy have in each of these companies. So similar to the one within the productivity tools, except that it will go across companies. And we've also got some additional user reports in the full-blown SOX user management tool, where you can run some additional reports around the administrative services functions. Now, inventory control, we have a number of those extended tools for inventory control where you can do that copying, something like an item. I was talking about segment substitution in the GL. Well, the same would hold true for inventory items. Maybe you're setting up an item and that item comes in 5 different colors. Well, rather than having to go through and set up 5 separate items, you can just set that item up once and then copy and just change the segment color. So, again, an easier way for you to be adding new items. But the other tools we have here is a stock reorder tool. And now, if you're using inventory control, you'd be familiar with a stock reorder tool that comes with Sage 300, but we're enhancing that capability using this stock reorder. We give you all kinds of parameters with which to choose your set of items. So whether you want to see it a range of item numbers or categories or by location, for example. But we're also giving you the ability to choose your own criteria. So if you're familiar with the standard tool, it creates a list of items to reorder based on what you have set as your minimum and maximum levels in inventory control. So we have that same capability here, but we also give you the ability to add your own criteria. So you can choose whatever parameter you want to bring up a list of items that need to be reordered. So that's the first thing that's different. The other thing is you can choose whether to create a purchase order, which is what the standard Sage tool does, but you also have the option to create a requisition. So if you don't want to create a purchase order and would rather do a requisition, then you can do that here. It's going to bring that list of items for reorder into this screen. But what you can do here is you can save that out to Excel, maybe pass that around to people that need to review that list of items you're going to reorder. And then you can import it back into this screen. And again, the include column will determine which items you're going to reorder. I can select every one in the list or just cherry pick through the list and then hit that create requisition or create purchase order button, and it will create all of those purchase orders. So it'll create multiple at the same time. So the other thing that you get the advantage of, obviously you're going to be able to choose what's being reordered. With the standard Sage tool, it just goes ahead and then you have to go and have a look and see what it's done. So this gives you the ability to choose what you're reordering. But as soon as you hit this create requisition or create purchase order button, it's going to fill in either the requisition number, or if you've chosen purchase order, it'll fill in the PO number. So you can actually then drill into that screen from this screen. And you can see all of the details that were created using this tool. We have a few tools where we're giving you the ability to clean up your database. So deleting old items, deleting old bombs, deleting old orders, deleting old purchase orders. So when you go through that process, it will do an integrity check to ensure that we're not causing any problems in your database, but it gives you a way to clean up some old data. So the ability to delete things. We've also got a few for you to set things to complete. So for your orders and your purchase orders, if you're familiar with these modules, something that is sitting as not complete means it's going to continue to show up on your reports. So you can easily set things to complete for, that are never going to come to fruition. And that'll clean up some of your reports as well. Now, when we get to the order entry toolkit, I alluded at the beginning that in this case, we will replace the standard order entry screen. The order entry toolkit is the most feature rich of all of the toolkits, but a lot of the features that we have for order entry will also have as it relates to purchase orders. So I'll mention that as we go along. But when we look at the extended order entry, This screen is unique in that we would replace the standard order entry screen of Sage 300. So the first thing you'll notice is we have those smart finders available against the order number and the customer number. And you can put in a few characters and click the find button. And in this case, it's going to search against the customer name, the address, and even in my case here, the city, because I think this second line is coming up because the RON is related to Toronto. So you can see it's going to search against multiple fields to return results for you. So easier for you to find the customer that you're looking for. The other thing you may notice is I've got optional fields appearing in the header portion of the screen. So this relates to your customer optional fields, and you can actually choose. If we go back up here to the options, you can actually choose for both the order entry and purchase orders. You have the same option. You can choose which optional fields you want to display in the header of the order entry screen. So that's why I've got my credit warning, my expiry date, and preferred customer. And that's what we're seeing here on the order entry screen. So it's just a more manageable way for you to populate and view your optional fields by placing them here on the header of the screen rather than at the end of the detail line. Now, you probably noticed there's a number of additional buttons here. So the next one would be this order from history. So when I click on that button and I load this screen, it's going to show me all previous orders that this client has made. So I can click on any order and I'll see the details of what they purchased prior on any of their previous orders. And I can, in this include column, if I double click to say yes, and let's just choose a few of these here, and I click the order button, it's going to bring those onto my new order. So it's an easy way to reorder for a customer. And I could do that for multiple orders. I could go to any orders and choose items to include on my new order. And you see it in the background bringing those items on. So an easy way for you to see what the client has purchased in the past and bring those onto a new order. The other thing that you'll notice when I click on this first one, it's a kit. So any of you that are using kits and bombs in Sage 300, we've added this component button. And what this does is shows you the components of that kit or bomb on this screen. And it gives you the ability to alter it for this particular order. So any changes you make here would only be for this order. It will not change your underlying kit or bomb. So, you know, in some cases, 90% of the kit is going to be the same every time. And then there's a few pieces that are a variable. So you could design that kit for that 90%, and then you could come in here and you could add, you know, for this particular order, I'm going to add another item to be included in this kit. I could likewise say in this particular case, I'm not going to send these pencils, so I could delete a row from this kit. And again, it's only going to change it for this particular order. The other thing we have is an item finder. So again, working off of this smart finder idea, we've created one for your items. Now, what this does is it shows you a list of items that you can search using that smart finder capability. So in this case, I've put in the word desk. You know, again, when you're searching with Sage 300, you have to use the contain statement, because if you use the equal to statement, then it'll only return results based on where that word appears in the description. So in this case, I'm able to not only search the item description, but I could also search comments, for example. So a number of fields that it's going to search for me. But the other thing is it's going to show you the pricing for those items, and it's going to show you not only the quantity available in the location you chose on the order, but it will also show you the quantity available in other locations. So I can see my fluorescent desk lamp. And if I expand this screen, I'll see the quantity on hand, the quantity on order, the quantity on sales order. And again, being inside Sage 300, we're able to access all of your data. So I can drill into the quantity on purchase order and see the purchase order. I could drill into the other sales order to see where this item is in use already. So that's the item finder. Now, if you wanted to update a line within this order, so I could do an update for the kit or BOM number, or expected ship date, or item prices. I'm going to show you a full-blown tool for updating, but we've given you access to it here on order entry as well. And we've given you a line finder. So, if you have orders that have hundreds of lines on them, then by using the line finder, you can choose item description, location, and put in information to pull up a list if you're trying to find something in particular within an order. Order margins. So you can see the order margins. And when I click on this button, it's showing me the order margin as a whole for this entire order. But I can also scroll down to the end of the row, and I can see it at a line level. So I can see what the margin percent is, and the margin markup and so on at the line level. Now, if I go ahead and post this, sorry, then you'll notice a few more buttons light up here at the bottom. So create purchase order. So you would be familiar with the create PO on the standard order entry screen. But again, we've enhanced the features. So by using this create purchase order, I can create it using the item vendor information or for a specific vendor, or using an existing purchase order, which means I could append this to an open purchase order and just add that in. I can choose what information goes over to the purchase order. So what I want as the description and reference, and then I can choose what information to transfer from the order to the purchase order. So whether that's header comments or line comments or instructions, optional fields, and so on, you can pick and choose what information gets transferred over when you create that purchase order. And then the last thing I'll highlight here is the OE Forms button. So this button gives you the ability to print multiple forms from this one screen. So rather than going into each individual screen to print forms, you can print them all from here. So you can print an order confirmation, you could print a quote, a picking slip, an invoice, and we've just recently added the ability for you to email a packing slip, all from this screen. Now, it's a lot of information that I'm throwing at you today. So at the end, I'll give you a website that you can go to that has videos for each of the individual tools. So I mentioned the ship order tool. So now we're talking about you being able to process multiple transactions with the click of a button. So in this case, shipping orders. We have a similar tool for generating invoices. But with the ship orders, you can choose the list of orders based on whatever criteria is important to you. So whether that's all items, or you can say a specific item. So I want to see all orders that have a specific item that's waiting to be shipped. And you can pull those into the bottom screen here. But you can also specify, I only want to see orders that can be completely shipped, or I only want to see orders that have back ordered quantities. So similar to, choosing a specific item and then show me all orders that have that item as back ordered, or committed quantities, or you're going to allow partial shipments. Once you've set the criteria, you'll load the list of orders into this screen. And again, in this column, this ship column, you can pick and choose. So I can say select all, meaning I want to go ahead and ship them all. I can also invoice them all here, or I'm going to show you, we have a separate tool for doing invoicing if you have a separation of duties. But you either could ship them all, or you can say, I just want to ship these specific ones. And then when you hit the process button, it's going to generate the shipment for every one of those orders. So, another way for you to view a lot of information in one screen, make your choices, and then when you hit the process button, it's going to generate shipments for each of those orders, rather than you having to go in and doing a separate shipment for each order. So I mentioned we have a similar tool for invoicing your shipments. So, whether you want to pull those up by order date or expected ship date or PO number, whatever the case may be, you would again bring that list and then choose which ones to include. And when you hit the process button, it's going to create the invoices for you. We've also given you a few additional capabilities in terms of, do you want a separate invoice for each customer, or do you want to combine shipments onto one invoice? So one invoice for each customer for all of their shipments, or one with the same shipment date or with the same order number. So it gives you the ability to combine shipments onto one invoice if you would like to do that. Now the update orders. So this gives you the ability to update multiple orders with the click of a button. So whether that's expected ship dates or item prices, a price has changed and you want to see all orders that item is still sitting on because you want to update the price on those orders, or you're never getting a specific item in and you want to see all orders that item is on because you want to substitute a different item for it. But again, a way for you to bring in a list of orders and create that update to those orders with just the click of a button. You have the same capability to update shipments. So updating pricing or shipment date for your shipments. And we have those tools as well on the purchase order side, where you can update your purchase orders. So that would be for arrival date and cost for your purchase orders. And then the stock reorder that I showed you earlier is available in the purchase order toolkit, as well as the extended PO entry that gives you the same ability to be able to create purchase orders from previous purchase orders. So similar to that tool we looked at where we created an order from history, you can create a purchase order from history here as well. And we've added the item finder and the line finder as it relates to purchase orders. So that's the overview of the productivity tools. I've given you a lot of information. So I mentioned the website. So if you wanted to see some of these tools in action, then if you go to the TaiRox website, there is a video page, and on that video page are a number of videos related to the productivity tools. And you'll see, most of them are really short videos that just give you all of the details related to a specific tool. The extended order entry is an 8-minute video because of all the features that we're adding there. But it's a great way for you to come and, if there's a particular thing that you're interested in, then you can just watch a short video to see the details of that tool. So with that, I want to thank you for joining us today, and I will pass it back.
Thank you so much, Nancy. If anyone has any questions, you can enter them now in the chat. We'll wait a second for that. Okay, I think there's no questions. Well, I want to thank you again, Nancy, and to everyone for attending today. And if you do end up having any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Or if you would like to book a more in-depth discussion, you can reach out to us with that as well. Again, you will all receive a copy of the recording in your inbox shortly. Thank you again for joining us today, and thank you, Nancy.
You're welcome. Have a great day.